So yes, on a
Technically.
technical level, you are an African American by some weird descriptor. But the thing that you must understand to the wider audience out there, words have many meanings, right? Especially when you speak English. So when you hear people say black, you need to understand what's the context of us saying black. Because black can mean African American, American descendant of slavery, right? That could be black. Black could also be the whole diaspora. That's any and everybody with some melanin that emanates from Africa. So that's your South Americans, that's your Islanders, that's your it, we black, right? But big black and community black, two different things. One of the reasons why we had to be called African Americans, short history lesson, because a bunch of assholes kidnapped our family and sold us like we were beasts of burden and treated us worse than their family dog and stole our whole identities from us so that the best we can do is say we from Africa.
Don't know
We can't
where.
even pick a country. Like if we do a blood test, like people who went out there, I always think it's the silliest thing for black folk who go get that 21 and me or whatever that thing is,
23 and
and
me.
they 23 and me, and they try to go all the way back. I'm like, look, this thing is only going to be accurate up to slavery, maybe, because
Maybe
they keep records
300,
like that.
maybe 300 years. You're lucky if you can
Right.
accurately get 500.
You're lucky if you can get past 1910.
Yep.
Okay, let's just be real, black folk. That's
Ah,
how you
Well,
know
with
it's true
with
because
No, that's
the
true. That's
even
you
after
could go.
slavery,
paper
even after
trail, yes.
slavery, they did not keep records for many of us who were born at home, which means we never went through the system. We got a social security card eventually, but that was an approximation of when we were born. So
Mm.
it's still, you are dicey once you get back there, right? It's just the reality of the situation.
the more
But
that
we call us the
the more
African
that the
Americans because we
years
from
go
Africa.
on, the more years that go on, because I did mine, I realized that my ancestors started off white, like they were white. We
They
ended up,
started out.
yeah,
Wait,
yes,
what?
yes. I'm talking.
But we
Listen to me.
also okay. We got
Do we
Our
need to have a
the
biology
last
lesson,
name, the
Marlon?
last name of Clyburn was white. We
well,
wowed,
Slave owners.
yes,
Oh,
it's the slave
okay.
owners. We wowed up black.
but how do you
So
wind
without
No,
up black,
sir.
Marlon?
No,
How do you
sir.
wind up black?
No,
let me
sir.
let
We
me
need
put
to
it to
talk
you.
Didn't
biology,
we
brother.
all start
Yeah,
out
Marlon.
The
Yeah, we all
what?
No, no,
started
no.
out
What he's
last
black.
talking about
Okay.
name
is
of
how his family got the name
no,
Clyburn.
I'm
Just
not
like
saying
I
my
black.
family got
understand
the name
that. I am
Robinson because of the
now,
slave owners.
yes,
The
yeah.
Yeah, that's
Marlon
what
talking
I'm
about
getting. I'm with
I'm
you,
Marlon
talking
Diz.
talking
about
about his family was a
The
bunch of white
Clyburn
folk, and all of a
name.
sudden they
I'm not
magically
talking about
became black.
me.
No.
I'm not
Yeah,
talking
cause
about. I'm talking about my last name, the family. I'm not
We
talking
got
okay,
about
we,
And
we
what
from
you
just want to
said.
make
color.
sure we on the same page, cause bruh.
And did
Okay.
your
Someone
slave owner consider did your family slave owners consider you family? Or did they consider you property?
I don't give a
Because
rat's
I know
ass.
mine gave me the last name Robinson because that's my family
Is,
was a slave.
you get deeper than I want to because I really want to go into a time machine and go back to them to all the Clyburn families back then when they was white and go.
Oh no, you send me back, it's gonna be a whole different experience.
yeah,
No,
but
I'm
like,
never
yeah,
gonna.
we ain't got to take this.
Hey, they ain't gotta do nothing. Send me back with a couple things of my choosing. And
That's what I was gonna say.
A friend of mine who is biracial actually did come to me with her DNA results and said, I can't make any heads or tails of this. And I have some experience at looking at DNA. This was my first time of reviewing African and sub-Saharan African descent. Most of the African DNA came from the Nigeria area, so it all really it specified
It came off the Ivory Coast.
The Ivory Coast, thank you. That's what I was trying to remember. And so like I was able to give them a little bit of information. But wow, that was the first time that I saw the limitations of DNA for myself.
Yep.
You
Yeah,
can't
it
could be
even
a
narrow
pretty-
down a country.
You have
It
Nigeria.
could be
you
a
have-
pretty humbling
you have
experience when you
Nigeria, you have
really go and
India,
look at it.
You have
You like, we really messed y'all people up.
But
We
we're
did.
y'all need to forget about that. We off that.
We did.
You know,
And we have many atrocities to repair.
they're not going to.
but see, here's the funny thing, Anna, if this helps at all. And,
Mm.
it's important to understand history and understand the path that our people took to get to here. But when I talk about redress, when I talk about restorative justice, I don't talk about bloodlines in that way. It's like, even if I could find the Robinsons that enslaved my people, they were operating within a system that was still bigger than they themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So I condemn them
I get
for
that.
the fact that you were slave traders, you were human traffickers, you are scum of the
Mhm.
earth, and I hope that if there's a hell, you're burning in it, right? But my grievance
Mhm.
is against the country,
Oh yeah.
because the country is the one that fomented the structure, the system, and all the things that have followed behind it. So, like,
Mhm.
a lot of times when I have some of these really good discussions with white people, they get, sometimes in the beginning, and it's natural, they get stuck in the sadness and the regret and things like that. But I'm like, that's cool. I had to go through anger, so it makes sense that you're gonna go through some, saying regret or whatnot. But the
Mhm.
most important thing is, how do we start to try to make things better?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
This is
That's
not
why I said
personalized, and that's
repair.
really hard for people sometimes.
And and let me throw this back into. Let me throw this out. But in order for things to get better, you have to accept that things are wrong. And at this point in time in America, you just
Things are
don't
wrong.
want to admit that. You
Mm.
don't want to admit the atrocities. You don't want to admit slavery. You pretty much said that's as one person said, a necessary evil, quote unquote. But you did call it an unnecessary evil. You don't want to even talk about, like Parker said earlier.
Wait, unnecessary evil?
He literally called it a necessary. I'm sorry.
No, I've been
Necessary
told it
evil.
was a necessary. They physically had to
it was
pull
a
me off this
necessary.
white boy in college.
They said
I
Okay.
was on a trip
it was a
to the
necessary.
Jefferson, whatever, Carter Center, and the dude said in the van while we traveling to Atlanta, well, it was a necessary evil. Motherfucker, I will throw you out this car rolling. You know what I'm saying? But that's the training that some people are getting.
But let's look at other necessary evils. The Japanese internment camps was a necessary evil. You did not know who the enemy was. So instead of trying to do your job, basically, you decided we're taking up everybody.
Which is weird with
and
America.
Gave a small form of reparations
if you really
after.
want to make things better, you have to accept that things were bad. And at this point in time in America, you're not willing to accept that. Why do you think they're eliminating books? Why do you think they're trying to erase history? They're doing it for a certain reason, because they don't want to look at it. That America is not the strawberries and cream country
light of the world.
I have wanted to ask, and actually this is a really perfect chance. There are some times when I really just want to say, I'm sorry. How does that come across?
It depends.
It depends on the person. Yeah, I agree
So,
with you. It
so with
depends on the
this
person.
group, when you say I'm sorry, you've already said it a few times, or so it doesn't really, for me, it doesn't mean much because I don't
Not
hold you
really.
accountable for none of it. So it's like it was good in the beginning when you were saying I'm sorry because like you were coming to an understanding of things that you may not have been all that familiar with. But now you've always been open, you've always been here to learn, you always ask questions and things like that. So we know your heart. So when you say I'm sorry now, it's just an expression of some, human empathy. You
Mm,
know.
Yeah,
Now somebody else might say I'm sorry, and I'm like, well, that's good,
What you
but
gonna
are
do
you
about it?
anti-racist?
It depends. It literally
You know.
depends on your
you
attitude.
know that I have been out there,
Yeah, it
and
literally depends on the person, Anna. If you say you're sorry, I know that you're not the person, and I'll give
it's
you
not a
I'll
responsibility thing. It
yeah,
is.
it's not a responsibility thing because I will look at you and Anna can say, I'm sorry. Other white people can say, I'm sorry, but. And those are the people that I'm like, you're not
Mm,
sorry. I'm sorry, but little Tommy don't need to learn this history. I'm sorry that you went
mm,
through this, but they don't need to know this history. I'm sorry
an
that you did.
apology,
And
and
especially the funny thing about I'm sorry that your ancestors went through this. Is you really sorry, or is you really just trying to make sure that you feel better going to bed at night? If you
Well,
go, if you do it
It could
to
be
make
I'm
both.
yourself
sorry
feel
that your
better,
yeah, it could be
ancestors.
both.
That's.
It could be both.
I
But I
might
got a
have.
problem with this
I,
whole
I I
discussion.
I don't know because I have a
Do
feeling that
you?
when
I
you say
do.
I'm sorry, but I don't know if you're saying I'm sorry of the atrocities that you
Yeah.
feel and your ancestors feel. Or are you saying I'm sorry, but I have to protect my own now?
Or
Well,
Marlon,
it's
Mhm,
it's the
may
but
I
that's
address
thrown
my
in.
grievance with this whole discussion?
mhm,
Because
Yeah,
Tim
mhm.
Scott and Kamala Harris said there's no racism in America. And dang
that
on
is
it,
true.
I think that we should take them seriously. Because what Tim Scott did at his failed presidential campaign launch, he brought up his black mother and some random white woman that says, "See, America, we are together."
You
And
you
if we could just
What?
clap on and
you
hold
know
our
how
hands to
bad
that,
Tracy, you know how bad it is when you say and some random white people. You know how
he did. He literally picked
so
out a random. He
and
literally
I
picked
said this
out.
before last week, and I'm going to say it again. For
Watches.
anybody that's listening, please do not misconstrue outlier for proof.
Thank you. That's what he was doing.
Outliers are
Mm,
outliers. That's
mhm,
that's a once in a lifetime or once in a blue moon or however you want to say it. In this retrospect, once every other president, he doing a video type of situation. It's an outlier.
Yeah, but he brought up his
That
black
was
mother and a random
unnecessary.
with his some. He literally picked out random white lady out the audience and said, "Look, racism doesn't exist anymore." I didn't even know this because apparently I must have missed something. I was on
but
this whole
but
train and I
please
just missed
believe
it.
what I say. Certain
mhm.
people do fight beyond. But I've said this, and me and Thiz has always fought about this, but I can't change it. I really can't. Certain people overachieve. Black people overcome.
We sure do.
We start at the bottom, and when we overcome obstacles that a lot of races ain't got to go through to get to the same level as people who don't have to go over those same obstacles. Please
Mhm.
do not think, oh my goodness, if they can do it, everybody can do it. No, that's not
But
how that
Marlon,
works.
Tim Scott said racism doesn't exist anymore. That's what he said.
He
Yes,
said it's over
I
because he's
don't
an
know
over
what comes
because he's a
over
token and
them.
he's
We
cashed
know
here's
what
in.
the,
he
here's the funny
is.
thing
Come
about
on.
Tim Scott.
But
One, he overcame, and two, the most important thing, what did you sell to overcome? So it's real
Oh
easy
yeah.
for you to say, yeah, there's no racism in it when I'm gonna pretend that
And then on what
I
stuff he
didn't
said,
stand
I'm
on
Well,
like,
my
dude, that's
toes for the
racist.
devil to get
You
where
were a victim of
yeah,
racism. What are you
yeah.
talking
He
about?
he has clearly outlined where he has been a victim of racism since he's been in office. But anyway, that's a whole other thing.
Hmm.
I think, and this is going to be, I
But
think I've
thank
said
you
this
for.
before, but I'm not sure.
Mhm.
I think that one thing, and I'm talking to the black folk out there, you know, some of y'all might not like this, but expectations. Have you stopped and really thought through what your expectations are, what you're really expecting of someone, what you're really asking for? Or are you responding out of your emotions and impulse? Because what some of the things that I hear people demand of the white community is not within human behavior.
Yep,
Like,
acceptance.
how do you how do you expect someone outside of your lived experience to care as much about your lived experience as you do? That's unfair. They can't get there. What you're actually asking for is justice and fairness.
Mm.
Those are two things that people can get to without ever fully accepting everything that you're saying or everything that you've gone through. See
Mm.
what I'm saying? Like, what is it you really want? Do you want white America to be different than what white America is? Like, to fundamentally to take some of the positions that some of us put out there, for them to do that, they would have to reject themselves. Now, are you able to reject yourself? I seriously doubt it. So what we have to do if we're serious about accomplishing certain things, now some folks you just need to fight. Screw trying to convince them or find a kumbaya. No. Some folks you got to finish them off because they would finish you off in a heartbeat. But that's a very small percentage of people. You need to focus more on if you're interested in actually moving the goal, moving the ball down the field, so to say. What is it you want? See, that's been missing in so many discussions. Put it on paper. What the hell do you want? Like we say, well, they gave the LGBTQ communities, they had specific demands
We want marriage.
and put people in place and they got some stuff. We've had
Mm.
specific demands. They
Nothing.
put some stuff in place and we got those. We still ain't getting what we supposed to have. They still trying to take everything back they ever did. But if you understand what you're up against, that's what white America has always done. They did it to the Native Americans. They did it to the
Mhm.
Japanese. They did it to the Guam people. They did it.
Mhm.
You name it. America breaks every treaty it's ever signed.
Yep.
It's
So we have to continue to fight, but fight intelligently, fight with clear things that they can actually try to meet, as
Mm.
opposed to I need you to deny your entire existence and admit to me that you're a devil. Who the hell gonna do that?
don't know, and probably ain't gonna happen.